Welcome to this special edition of the New Stack Makers on the Road. We're here in KubeCon, North America in
Detroit Rock City!
Discussions from the show floor with technologists giving you their expertise and insights to help you with your everyday work.
Hey everyone, we have a real opportunity here to have a discussion with two people who are living in much different worlds than here in Detroit right now, really. Dima and Ihor, and I would like you to each introduce yourself just so the community can be aware of who you are and what you do.
Sure, thank you, Alex. My name is Ihor. I'm Ihor Dvoretskyi. I'm a senior developer advocate at the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, and these days I'm serving for the Armed Forces of Ukraine.
Hi, my name is Dima Zakhalyavko. I am a board member at Razom for Ukraine, a nonprofit 501c3 organization in US.
Here, I talk about these different worlds that we live in all the time. And I remember talking with you in places like San Francisco and in Portland. And now I looked across the hall and I saw you with a support because obviously you've been injured. And I just want to say that I've never ever experienced anything like that in my life. And I just can't imagine what that must be like for you as an individual, for you as a person who has family and deep friends. And tell me why you're needing to have this support right now.
Not so much stuff has happened, so it's kind of like the regular injury during the duty in the middle of the night. So yeah, I was stepping in the full darkness, and
you slipped.
Yeah.
You fell. Yeah.
And that's it. So
oh, good.
Nothing crazy. And no hero stories here.
That's. I just wanted to make sure that to give a picture of what it's like to be there. I didn't know if that added to the picture or not. Dima, you're here because you're working with Razom. And can you tell us a little bit about Razom?
Sure, sounds good. So we are a nonprofit that was formed out of Maidan revolution back in 2014. So before the war started, the full-scale invasion, it's been 8 years that we've been at promoting and amplifying voices of Ukraine in US and helping with humanitarian efforts, helping children of soldiers, helping in IT space and training. We've been on a smaller scale before the war broke out, but that all changed and we've blew up in terms of number of donations and people engaged in the projects, volunteers. That all came together a lot on a bigger scale once this full-scale invasion happened.
Since the full-scale invasion, what's it like for a developer? How can you relate it to developers who are not in the Ukraine? And I ask that because I spoke with someone, for instance, the other day who is from Taiwan, and they don't feel especially okay with living in Taiwan right now. And it made me aware that there's this threat that everyone faces at any time where their lives could be changed dramatically, due to forces beyond your control. And I'm curious, what would you say to those developers around the world about how they can relate to you because they come from such different worlds right now?
It's probably not something that I can clearly describe from my personal experience, because I've clearly splitted my life before and after.
Yeah.
So basically, I've joined the Armed Forces of Ukraine almost immediately after the full-scale invasion has started.
Right.
And basically, I literally spent 0 days as a person with my previous tech experience.
Right.
During the new times.
Right.
However, like what I heard from other folks who are not on the duty and are still doing their day jobs in tech, so their lives have changed significantly. So even those folks who are living in the relatively safe areas, speaking about those areas that are like geographically far away from the active battle zones,
right,
from the active combat zones. So you still may have multiple air raid alerts during the
Yeah.
day when you have to hide somewhere
Yeah.
from the potential missile strike, for
Right.
example. These days, there are some critical infrastructure issues in Ukraine after the missile strikes have hit multiple places in Ukraine, including the electricity stations and so on. So basically, like the electricity may be cut like anytime. You may have some issues with the fresh water in some areas. You may have some limited access to the internet in some areas and so on. But that even that cannot compare with the lives of those folks who have to flee from the areas with the active combat zone, or those areas that have been pretty much immediately occupied by Russia in the end of February or beginning of March. So I would say that even those people who are continuing doing what they're doing, continuing working and continue contributing to tech, especially to the open source world, they're doing a lot these days. So this is something that probably so many people in the world cannot understand completely, just because it's one of those unique and unpleasant and unnecessary experience that anyone has to pass through.
It is unpleasant. It's unnecessary. And in that unpleasantness and that unnecessariness, Dima, what are you trying to do for people who are veterans, who are in the Army now, but still need to support their families? What is it that you're doing?
We are focused on a couple of areas. We've been trying to help with some of the humanitarian aspects. Our biggest aspect is saving lives, right? And what's important is to save lives of people on the battlefield, right? With things like individual first aid kits, having a tourniquet is a critical aspect of saving lives of people who are, in danger, right? Enabling medics to save lives as well is another effort that we're focused on, as well as educational efforts, right? We are just today announced a continuation of a project called Veteranios, which is focused on bringing veterans, their family members, maybe younger children into the technology so they can have a career in the future in technology. Ukraine has a big presence in the world of IT, and it's actually IT is, I think, second after agriculture in Ukraine by the income, well, at least pre-war in that respect. So Ukraine has a lot to offer, and we would like to enable Ukraine even more so and help revitalize Ukrainian economy to enable people in IT.
At your roots, you're a developer advocate, right?
Right, yeah.
So how are you thinking about developer advocacy and helping people of Ukraine, both, in the Army or otherwise?
Yeah, this is something that I'm trying to do these days. So even being on the active duty, I've been able to stay in touch with some folks in Ukraine, with my friends from Razom, who have been driving the Veteranios initiative for quite a while, like even before the full-scale war has started. And basically, we came to a random idea that there should be a way how can we get started with offering the free and open education access to the different groups of people, especially veterans and family members and so. And we realized that basically we can benefit from the pretty big Linux Foundation training portfolio, including the most popular courses like the Intro to Linux or Intro to Kubernetes, that can be pretty much easily translated to Ukrainian, and in this way we'll be able to offer this information, these educational materials to Ukrainians in their native language. Because unfortunately, the language gap is sometimes one of the biggest blockers for folks in Ukraine to get started in tech. But in the case, if you can understand what this technology is about, and in parallel, if you can enhance your English skills, you can move forward with diving deeper into the tech world.
How are you then, nuts and bolts, like who's doing the translating? how are you preparing those documentation? How are you preparing the documentation? How are you distributing it in a place where, as you say, there may not be internet access?
These educational materials will be available online. More details coming soon. And we have a pretty solid team of volunteers, people who want to share the experience, specifically the experience in tech and the experience in pretty much fluent knowledge of Ukrainian and English languages, and those people who are able to use their skills to convert the existing English educational materials into Ukrainian and make them available to everyone who is a native Ukrainian speaker.
What are some of the topics then? You said Kubernetes, intro to Linux, intro to Kubernetes. What other topics? And your sources for that information, are they volunteer? Are there people who are volunteering? How can developers out there, help out?
Speaking about the resources, we are using at this point of time, we're using the Linux Foundation training materials. This can grow up later. Maybe Dima can provide more light into like what Veteranus is doing and like how does Veteranus is interacting with the local developers and their mentoring experience. But in general, so our goal at this point of time is to benefit from the pretty big Linux Foundation training portfolio, the courses portfolio, and to provide folks in Ukraine with at least some basic but necessary tech skills, like Linux, like Git, like some of the programming, some of the basic programming languages like Kubernetes and so on. For example, if you'll take the Intro to Linux course, it's basically one of the most essential courses for everyone who wanna get started in tech, because like these days, if you don't know Linux, you basically cannot understand what's going on at the higher levels of the stack, right? So basically, in this case, like if you at least have some Linux knowledge, and the translated courses will allow you to get this knowledge, so you'll be able to move forward with some new and essential skills.
Dima, so what's next then for the organization? Where are you on this journey?
Our first and foremost task is to help turn around war and help end it soon, right? We are doing that as much as possible within the constraints of being a US nonprofit, right? Hopefully, the sooner the war ends, faster we can focus on things like rebuilding Ukraine, rebuilding schools, rebuilding hospitals, rehabilitation centers, educational efforts, scaling Veteranus to a bigger aspect of things, getting engagement from other technology companies to invest into Ukraine in the technology field as well, and basically help Ukraine rebuild both from physically but also economically.
So now I'm starting to see more of a deeper connection then, because as Ukraine rebuilds, you will need people who understand Linux. You will need people who will understand Kubernetes. You will need people to understand the intricacies of networks and software development.
Right. If we look into the future, so Ukraine has a pretty bright future. We just need to pass these pretty difficult times.
Yeah.
But in the future, I clearly see how the tech industry in Ukraine is growing, and people are needed for that.
Yeah.
Especially those people who had some experience in this era, or those people who had experience in the different eras but want to switch to something different, something new, and something like something perspective, like the tech industry. And this initiative and this program is one of the few probably minor opportunities for them. I'm not speaking about the major opportunities. This is like something minor that we can do for the Ukrainian society at this point of time, but with the clear sign in the future, and what we can do better and what we can do together for the brighter future of Ukraine.
I love that Ukraine has a bright future, and that's a beautiful vision to look at, right? And Dima, so how do you see that bright future?
Strong, democratic Ukraine, a truly European country that is whole from territorial integrity, strong in terms of economical and technologically enabled. I think that the future is in the technology, and if we can help enable that in any case, I think that's a win for Ukraine, but also to the world as well, as I think the technology can make the world a better place.
Well, I'm sure you hear from people all over the world. And I'm one person who lives in Portland, Oregon. And I'm a daily reader of the Kyiv Independent. I'm with you. I know there are millions of others like myself who are with you too. And I know there's millions of developers out there who are with you as well. And so just know that I find some nice outcomes in when you talk about Ukraine's bright future, because that's the best way to think about it. So I just want to thank you both for your time and your discussion.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for your support.
If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're on all the major social media platforms. You can always find us at thenewstack.io. We hope to see you soon.